Markets in the green ahead of the December series expiry. Nifty about 21,700, Sensex about 72,300. Broader markets move in line. All sectoral indices in the green, barring consumer durables and media. Oil and gas gains the most, up over 1%, led by HPCL, GSPL and IOC. And Hudco rallies in trade. The stock is up over 19% on the back of signing an accord with the Gujarat government for 14,500 crores. And Zomato down by more than 3% after GST demand notice of 401 crores rupees. The dense fog is expected to continue in the northwest and parts of central India. 22 trains are running late and 135 flights delayed in Delhi. Hello and welcome. You're watching Large Trades on NDTV Profit. I'm Agam Vakil, and in this show we talk to you all about bulk deals, block deals and volume buzzers. But before we get on to that, a quick look at the markets, which are in fact showing a lot more strength. Even today, it's turning out to be a fairly good expiry, at least for all those who are long in the markets, with the Nifty, along with the Bank Nifty, trading near day's highs, up as much as 0.5%. And in terms of your big movers in today's day of trade, we have gains in Coal India. That is up around 3.2%. And of course, it's also one of the biggest gainers on the indices, followed by NTPC. NTPC is also advancing up and about at the moment, up by around 2.5%. Hero MotoCorp following that, we have 2.3% up move. And in terms of losers, we don't have too much to speak for, say for something like an Asian Paints, which is losing out less than 0.6%. So on the whole, at least as far as the breadth of the market is concerned, on the Nifty specifically, well, good gains coming in. And when it comes to your broader markets, as far as some of your key gainers are concerned, we do have HPCL, which is in fact leading the gains on the oil and gas index. BHEL is the other one. BHEL and SAIL, in fact, both of them are up and about, and both of them are advancing around 5.5 to 5.6% each. So that's as far as your broader markets go. Now, let's quickly take a look at all the things that we are going to address in today's day of trade. And well, we are going to talk about Hudco, of course, because of that big spend that's going to come through in terms of Gujarat. Greenpanel is the other one, which is a volumes buzzer. We also have Superjeet Engineering, Sula and Shoppers Stop. All of them on the account of big volumes coming through. And from there on, let's just get straight off the mark. We have Housing and Urban Development Corp, which will invest as much as 14,500 crore rupees in finance, housing and urban infrastructure projects in Gujarat. And of course, the stock has been doing very well. Let's get in my colleague Mihika to give us an update on this one. Mihika, what do you have for us?
Yes, so the stock is up 9.7%. It's hit an intraday high of that. And the stock has seen the best two-day rally since June 2020. It's up 66% in the past month and has gains over 160% in the past 1 year. Its volumes volumes currently at 4.8 times its 30-day average, and the highest volumes were at rupees 133. And there were also news flows that there were multiple trades, and with a total worth of 30 crores of large trades that took place in the stock. And the stock is up mainly on the news flow that the company will co-invest 14,500 crore rupees, and this investment will be towards housing and urban infrastructure projects. And this investment is also ahead of the vibrant Gujarat Global Summit of 2024.
Mihika, if you could very quickly give us the performance of this company over the past couple of quarters.
Yes. So I'll first start with the H1 performance. Now, the company has reported disbursements of rupees 3,700 versus 719 in the same period last year. And the company also sanctioned loans worth 7,808 crore rupees versus 17,457 crore rupees in the same time period. With respect to the quarter two performance, the revenues were up 6.9% at to the tune of 1,860 crore rupees, and EBITDA was up also 2%, and the margins also improved marginally at 97.9% versus 96.9%, and the net profit also saw 1.3% growth. And in total, the company has signed 30 MOUs worth 24,707 crores across various different sectors, and it expects employment opportunities to exceed more than 38,000.
Thank you so much for joining us and getting us those details on Hudco, and of course that's clearly one of the big stock movers of today. But from one big stock mover to another, and now we talk about Greenpanel, which is in fact trading over about a 15-month high in fact, and it's gained big on volumes too. I'm going to get in Hemansh to talk to us a little more about that. Hemansh, what do you have for us?
Thanks, Agam. The stock is trending towards its 15-month high, actually, and up 13% intraday. And this happens after 3.1 lakh shares changed hands, which is about 0.25% equity in multiple tranches. And these were exchanged from a price of 429.4 to 437.3. And the stock is higher for the fifth consecutive session today. And, well, take a look at, just to lay out the context, first of all, Greenpanel is a manufacturer of wooden panels and medium density feeder boards, and it has its manufacturing units in Uttarakhand and Andhra Pradesh. Secondly, what do analysts have to say about the stock in particular? So you have 13 analysts that hold a buy call on the stock. You have 5 that are holding a hold call and 1 recommending a sell. The price target implies a 1.2% downtick from yesterday's close. And the stock has run up 26% in the past 52 weeks as well. So it's quite a lot and not as significant compared to its peers. However, what's in store with this counter really is the focus on increasing its distribution reach, increasing domestic volumes, as well as Greenpanel brand value. And let's not forget, Greenpanel is Asia's, not just India's, but Asia's largest manufacturer of medium density feeder boards, which are an upgraded version of just your regular plywoods. So it's a proxy play on real estate as well, which is why the stock is seeing quite the excitement and positive sentiment coming in from the street.
Right, over a 35% gain in just the last 2 months. Hemansh, thank you so much for getting us those updates on Greenpanel, and that's of course the other one that we need to keep an eye on in today's day of trade, which is in fact up and about by as much as 15% as we speak. But on that note, we take a quick break. On the other side, a lot more in terms of stocks. Stay tuned in. Moving on to the auto ancillary space, we have Suprajit Engineering, which continues to rise for the second straight session after HDFC Mutual Fund has raised stake in the auto components manufacturer. My colleague Anushi Vakharia joins us to give us more details. Anushi, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Agam. So with Suprajit Engineering seeing about a 8% gain today, with the volumes, with some significant volumes at about 30 times its 30-day average. Now, if we see this is on the back of HDFC Mutual Fund driving the stock performance by increasing its stake to 7.03% compared to 5.07% earlier through open market purchases. Now, just to get a clarity on the key shareholders, the promoters hold about 44.6% stake as on 30th September, whereas other mutual funds like DSP hold about 7% and ICICI Prudential hold about 1% stake. In the FII category, we have India Capital Fund, which holds about 2.6%. Now, just to end it, let's just revisit the H1 FY24 performance, wherein the company had seen about a 2% revenue growth and it saw some uptick in its margins of about 43 bips at 10.2%.
All right, Anushi, thank you so much for getting us those updates on Suprajit Engineering. And we move on to Sula, which is on cloud wine after the winery set a tourism record during the holiday season. And the share is surging over 5% in trade today. And we have Mahima, who's joining us to give us perhaps the reasons behind that and a little more. Mahima.
Right, Agam. So as you rightly mentioned, Sula is on cloud wine. Well, this is on the back of their press release, which said that they have recorded a significant growth in their footfall, and they recorded the highest footfall of 5,000 people in a day on 24th of December. In total, between 23rd of December to 25th of December, they saw 12,000 visitors visiting their Nasik and Bangalore wine tourism areas, and also they recorded a single day ever highest revenue of 85 lakhs. Prior to this, in August, they had recorded a highest single day revenue of 83 lakhs, and also their total revenue that they've clocked in the 3 days of 23rd to 25th of December is approximately 2.3 crores. And they've also mentioned that approximately 5,300 individuals have done wine tasting versus a previous record of 4,700. If we talk about the stock performance, the volumes today are also very high, approximately 9 times its 30-day average. A couple of large trades we've seen that took place in Sula also today, ranging from approximately 21,000 shares to 42,000 shares. Approximately 8 to 9 trades took place, and the stock has been up most in 21 weeks now, and in the last 5 days also we've seen that the stock has grown 10%, and overall YTD the stock has grown 55%. And if we talk about the analyst recommendations, analysts are completely bullish on this stock. There are 5 analyst recommendations, and all 5 say that we should definitely buy the stock. So this is why Sula is on an uptick today.
Right. Well, that there will be a point at which a lot of analysts who are in fact bullish will also question as to what point does this stock become a little more expensive. But for now, of course, it's enjoying a bull run. Mahima, thank you so much for joining us and giving us those updates on Sula. And on to our final large trade, which is in focus today, and that's Shoppers Stop. It's come off from day's highs. It's currently, trending largely flattish. However, it is seen substantial volumes in today's day of trade. Let's try and find out about what's really going on behind the scenes. We have Varsha, who's joining us to give us an update on the same. Varsha, good afternoon. What do you have for us?
Hi, Agam. So if you see stock hit an intraday high of 2% in trade today. Now volumes were 5x at its 30-day average. Now if you see, there are some positive developments in the company. So they've opened 4 departmental stores, then 3 beauty stores and 4 Intune stores, which is their brand, during Q2 FY24. And they plan to open almost 15 to 17 departmental stores and 20 Intune stores and 15 beauty stores by FY24 end. Also, there's this positive outlook for Q3 and Q4 where they expect expect mid-single digit like-to-like sales growth, and also they have planned capex of 300 crores this year. Now capex to be funded internally. Now if you see the wedding season, so festive season has been pushed to Q3, so that's the reason they are expecting good growth in Q3, and also this may be the reason for the stock movement today. Also if you see the analyst recommendation, 6 says buys while 3 says hold and 2 says sells with an upside potential of 17%. But in terms of stock performance, if you see, company has not given returns to its investors. Rather, if you see the 6-month performance for the company has been almost negative 14%, while 1 year the stock was down 3%.
All right, Varsha, thank you so much for getting us that update. We'll continue to keep an eye on a whole host of stocks which are buzzing in volumes, and considering we are towards the end of the calendar year at least, we don't really see as much in terms of volumes when it comes to stocks or for that matter indices. But today is a day perhaps which is making that exception, and while the benchmarks may be quiet on the whole overall, though advancing at about 0.5%, we do have a lot of traction with respect to your broader markets. I'm going to do a quick check as far as your broader markets are concerned once again, and take a look at perhaps some of those handful of counters which are doing reasonably okay. And I do want to pull up at least the mid cap and the small cap indices if we could, but all right, we'll come to that in just a bit. Just want to perhaps take up another conversation that we were having, and this was around crude. Now, crude has surged almost 10% in over the last 2 weeks, and the question really is, what next can we expect from the commodity? We spoke to Prabal Sen. He is the energy analyst at ICICI Securities earlier, and this is what he had to say. Listen in.
The reasons for the outperformance as far as GRMs are concerned versus the benchmark GRMs, which is essentially what you call the Singapore GRMs, is actually not only because of the discounted crude. Obviously, that has had a role. That is probably, if you consider that at one point, almost 30% of your crude sources was coming from Russia. And while that proportion may have changed, what is more important is that the extent of discount that you were getting from Russian crude, which is probably as high as maybe about $8 to $9 at one point of time, which translated into probably a $2.5 benefit from the crude alone. That probably has narrowed quite a bit. It probably would be less than 50 cents, maybe in that range or thereabouts in the near future. But the other aspect that has also led to an improvement in the refining portfolio is that there has been a sustained increase in the distillate yield, specifically of diesel, gasoline, and ATF. If you look at the trends in product prices, the way that they have behaved in the last year or so, what has really driven refining margins has been essentially product spreads in these 3 products. Every other product, if you look at LPG, if you look at naphtha, if you look at other, pet coke, even propylene prices, because polypropylene spreads have been fairly low. Every other product has actually, declined in terms of product spreads. What has saved Indian refiners, specifically the OMCs, is that the yield of these 3 products has actually gone up from maybe around 55% odd a year or 2 years ago to close to 65-67% today. And since the product spreads of these 3 products are the strongest right now, that has also led to a premium over benchmark margins. If you look at historically, Indian refiners, specifically government-owned companies, have always functioned at a discount to Singapore benchmarks. And that has changed around even on a theoretical slate, leaving aside the crude cost advantage, to today probably a sustainable $2 to $3 premium over where benchmark is. So if you put that together, I would say that yes, you may not actually see too many quarters of $15 GRMs, which we did see in over the last 12 months at certain points of time. But sustainably speaking, you also are unlikely to see the GRMs for Indian refiners and PSU refiners going below double digits. That is what the base case assumption that we are working with for all the 3 OMCs.
We move on to another company which has piqued the interest of a lot of investors, and just Jindal Balaji. The stock has been a multi-bagger this year, and on raising about 559 odd crores from Tata Capital. We spoke to Jindal Balaji Industries Chairman and MD Aditya Jodia earlier today about the company's capex plans and a lot more. Listen in.
The capex plan, it is for a total of around 1,000 crores. out of which around 350-400 crores has already been spent from internal accruals entirely. There is no debt taken for the capex. And out of the balance 550 crores, this is to be completed over the next 12 to 15 months. So with the completion in the capex program, what is happening, the capex program is on two fronts. One is on some cost-cutting measures, which are drastic, and the second is on adding capacities in value-added products like ductile iron pipes and specialty ferroalloys, and also adding some hot metal capacity.
And there is a new singer in town following a stellar stint as the PVR MD. Ajay Bijli is all set to venture into singing. A man of many talents, Ajay Bijli plans to compose and sing and may have signed projects with key singers. In fact, our reporter Charu Singh spoke to him where he talked about his new song and how he developed an interest in the genre. Listen in.
Well, I've been very fond of singing. But I've been doing a lot of cover songs for a very long time, whether it's English songs of Bryan Adams, George Michael and stuff like that with my band, or Hindi songs. But then I wanted to get into the journey of doing some originals in January next year. But before I did that, I thought, let me come out with my own rendition of one of the prayers, Ek Onkar, Mool Mantra, which has really been something that has been one of my favorites. I've been singing at home to my mother, to my family, A.R. Rahman's version by Harshdeep Kaur. And then I've also been listening to Shekhar Ravjani's version of Hanuman Chalisa. So I reached out to him. I said, if you've done such a good job with Hanuman Chalisa, can you also do another rendition of Ek Onkar for me? And he did an incredible job of a very melodious version with a Vaheguru in the loop in the background, very meditative. And I said, wow, this is very good. So I'll sing it. I sang it. My Indian teacher, my guru, Santa Singh, he helped me. And it came out okay. And then I recorded it in the studio. And I was very happy with the result. I made a lot of people listen to it.
Well, we do want to put the spotlight back on a lot of stocks which are buzzing today. And of course, we also spoke to Vishwanathan Venkatramani. He's the CFO of the company Greenpanel Industries. And he's also spoken about a lot in terms of capex plans as well as expansions. Listen in.
Our capacity will be online sometime in Q3 next year. And we are currently operating around 75 to 80%, and we hope to reach somewhere between 90 to 95% next year from the existing capacity. And the new capacity will be focused on, primarily thin MDF boards with thickness between 1.5 to 5.5 millimeters, for which there is already a significant market in India. So I think we'll have a ready market for the new capacity right from day one.
Right, and my colleague Neeraj Shah also spoke to Aquamarine Capital's Guy Spear, who talked about opportunities in the global aviation sector. Listen into a slice of that conversation.
15% of the world's population has actually flown on a plane, and the vast majority of the world's population has not even flown on a plane. And there is absolutely no doubt that eventually all 8 billion people, or whatever population we get to on the planet before we stabilize, are going to want to travel. Travel is this basic that people want to do. That means that we're going to need far more airports, airplanes. So simply flying the planes that transport the passengers around, the aero engines that drive those planes around. So anybody who's a financial analyst would get excited about is that these are kind of like, there are many industries or there are many businesses where you can't rely on endless growth. And sooner or later, it comes to an end. It stops for one reason or another. The market becomes saturated. But this is an industry and a demand that is kind of a source of endless growth, if you like. And endless meaning that for the foreseeable 20, 30, 40 years, we're going to see regular single-digit increases in the number of passengers traveling. And that drives the demand for airframes and the demand for engines and the demand for airport space. And so that's just a really, really fruitful area to look.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Last Trades. But on the other side, India market close is for you next. Stay tuned in.